everybody, I'm Candace, aka Geeky Candy, here bringing you Geeks and Gamers some more Star Wars news today. I recently found an article by Gizmodo where they interviewed Miss Kathleen Kennedy, and as we all know, whenever Kathleen Kennedy opens her mouth, usually quality YouTube content flows out. So I'm here to bring some of it to you today, and this specifically covers her take on why the Skywalker saga is where it's at and how we got there in the first place. There's some real good nuggets in here, including how she literally says something along the lines of, she hires on people that know more about Star Wars than she pretends to. Yeah, so thank you, George, for putting her in charge. I guess that's a good thing. Anyway, so basically, I'm just going to touch on some of the important parts here that I liked, specifically some of the questions by Gizmodo, and then some of Kathleen Kennedy's answers. Michelle Rajman was also part of this, but I really wanted to focus on Kathleen's answers. So here we go. When you made The Force Awakens, obviously there was some discussion about where this could all go. Rian Johnson then came in and took the story in his direction, and now J.J. Abrams is back to finish everything up. Looking back, was there a reason why the beats of the entire trilogy weren't cemented around Episode 7, and has that lack of structure been a benefit in retrospect? Has that been a benefit in retrospect? Great question, isn't it? Well, Kathleen Kennedy responds, well, first of all, when we sat down to do The Force Awakens, we spent a great deal of time working out all 3 movies and doing a real deep dive on the previous 6. And talking about that, understanding the mythology that George Lucas had created, bringing in people who had worked on those films, been a part of Lucasfilm. We brought in 2 or 3 different writers. There were, 8 of us usually sitting in that room and whiteboarding what the possibilities are and looking at character arcs, identifying Force is female. Yeah, because George had already gone to Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill to do the film. So we knew that was a given, that we were bringing them back into the trilogy and we're introducing new characters. But they weren't bringing them back together. Well done. So we had a sense of where this was going. No, she didn't. Not even a little bit. Yes, she continues, it's obviously important, as George has always said, to have meaning in these movies. And as a director, I think every director should have something to say in what there is trying to do, and that they need to find what's personal for them. No, they don't. They don't need to find what's personal for them. They need to find what's good for the story and the fans. Continuing, in addition to something like Star Wars, which has this incredible fan base that cares so deeply, she says, that wants to believe that we're as immersed in that process as they are, that we're looking at the nuances and the importance of the mythology as they are. And I can tell you that that is absolutely what goes on. It's endless conversations along those lines. Endless conversation along those lines. Force is female. That's the mythology. Okay, moving on. Michelle does have one important thing I wanted to note in that regard, and she says, it was the utmost importance to us from the very beginning. That was the part of why this movie was so challenging, because you're bringing in all of those threads to a great conclusion, all of those character arcs that have been from 1977 and beyond. So we feel it delivers on that satisfaction. We hope. Got a lot of confidence in that last little bit there. We hope. Yes, I hope so too. But not thinking that's going to be the reality here. Moving on, Gizmodo. Obviously, J.J. Abrams wasn't the first director attached to this movie. So without spoiling anything, what was it about Colin Trevorrow's version that didn't work? Well, I wouldn't say it didn't work. Colin was at a huge disadvantage because he wasn't a part of The Force Awakens and in part of those early conversations, because we had a general sense of where the story was going. We had a general sense of where the story was going. And yet here we just talked about the Wall Street Journal article where we had video game developers trying to build a video game between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And the story, they said that Story Group did not have an idea of where it was going, and so they couldn't build a video game around that time frame. But Kennedy said they definitely knew where they were going, so we're going to just listen to what she says. Anyway, like any development process, it was the only in development that we're looking at a first draft and realizing that it was perhaps heading in a direction that many of us didn't feel was really quite where we wanted it to go. And we were on a schedule, as we often are with these movies, and had to make a tough decision as to whether or not we thought we could get there in the time or not. And as I said, Colin was at a disadvantage because he hadn't been immersed in all those conversations, blah, 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 from before. So basically, she's not trying to throw him under the bus, but she's throwing him under the bus here. Very nice way to do it, I suppose. Gizmodo continues on. One of the big decisions by JJ and Chris Terrio was bringing back the Emperor in some form. Was there a worry about bringing back the villain of the previous two trilogies that would undercut the victories achieved in those two trilogies? What a great question, Gizmodo. Yeah, let's see what they have to say. Michelle says, I think there was a feeling of inevitability that Palpatine had been a part of all three. And in the biggest picture of 9 movies, he has been there from the very beginning. And his presence in this movie, we will not spoil that. But when you see it, it does feel to us, not only will it have a feeling of inevitability, but the ending of where we left him last in Return of the Jedi. It was very important to JJ and Chris and to all of us. We discussed it at great length. So no, I don't think so. I think it definitely feels as though it's in the DNA of the 9, and it felt appropriate to have his presence be in the movie. Yeah, right. I'm sure it also felt appropriate to give a swift kick in his behind, something like a mud stomp from one of the leaks, apparently. Yeah. What a lovely way to end supposedly greatest, villain of all time in this franchise, apparently, is what they're saying. His DNA was supposed to be in all 9. Oh, gosh. But Rey ends him, so great. Anyway, Gizmodo says, what was the moment in making the movie where everything clicked, where you said, we've got it, this is the way to end the Star Wars saga? Kennedy says, I think there was a point in the shooting where there was an epiphany moment, where all of us clearly said, yes, this feels right. I would have loved to see that. Really would have loved to have been a fly on that wall. Yeah. The how, getting there, the details in that. We were up to the very end, and I think the great thing about the dialogue that happened consistently with JJ, Michelle, Chris, and myself was that because we all know each other very well, Chris was really the only person we didn't know super well, but they were very free, confident, honest dialogue that could happen. Nobody was being overly polite. Both of them laughing. Gosh, it's so cringy. If you didn't think something made sense, if you couldn't follow it, if you thought from a fan's point of view that you're stepping outside the lines and it was kind of bogus thinking, no one was afraid to say that because we knew how important this was to get right. We didn't let things go. Yeah. Nobody stopped them, right? Nope. She continues, if we started to head down a path and then we would read the pages and we would talk to one another, and if we didn't have some real sense of point of view, strong, solid point of view, then we would push JJ. I'm sure he would say that we all pushed him a lot and we weren't afraid, 'cause we're whammon. We are not afraid to push the men. Oh, God. I kind of feel sorry for JJ, actually. Picking this up with him. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, so she continues to just talk and talk and talk about how they're not afraid to say no and making sure they had the best storyline if possible, and that fundamentally they said, I think they sat at the feet of George for a long period of time. They fundamentally understand that was very important to him in terms of defining this mythology and understanding this mythology, and it's important to have those voices weigh in as well, and we did that equally with Pablo and Dave Filoni. Yeah. So the last little thing she talked about that was kind of fun was, I just think that we had a great working relationship with JJ on this to really arrive at something that we all felt was emotionally meaningful and satisfying. And I think, knock on wood, that the fans are going to feel that, and they're going to feel listened to. And the fans are going to feel that and feel listened to. This woman is out of her mind, crazy, or complete denial. When I saw this, I about lost it. I can't believe it. Yeah. Anyway. So she says, I think it's always been an important thing to Lucasfilm is the fans, and they're every bit as important to us as what any of us do. And I hope that they feel that way with this. they seem to feel that way with The Mandalorian. I love how this entire article ends with the upbeat note of The Mandalorian. That's the ending. What a disaster. This contradicts everything else that has come out recently about what has happened in these last few months regarding, episode 9 coming out. I find it upsetting that she can just come on here to Gizmodo and talk about giving lip service to the fans, saying, we listened to you. We thought you were just as important as anything we do. And they have people like Ryan Johnson who literally toss F-bombs at the fans all the time. So with that all being said, I just found that very, very interesting. And I thank you guys very much, as Jeremy might say, for listening to this. And please hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already to Geeks and Gamers. It's a great channel. We are thankful you are watching. And until next time, fandom, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.